Drugs. What is it? Why do we take them? What happens after we take them? And what if in case the policeman catches us? Now imagine if there was one course which could explain the maths, chemistry, biology, finance and the laws of drugs.
It's not that course.
Slight difference over there from Sushant Singh Rajput to Aryan Khan to Modi ji's weed energy. So this course is an introduction into the NDPS Act 1986, the Narcotics, Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act. What this means is not only you'll get to know sections which are applied in cases and the defense used by counsels, but you'll also get to know what are drugs, what are the different types of drugs, and what happens, which worlds do you travel to after consuming what kind of drugs, and that is the kind of information you'll get in this module. But what are the different kinds of drugs that are consumed by people all over the world, and what are the kind of drugs they consume, such as cocaine, smack, heroin, cannabis, charas, chitta, whatever you want to call it. Now I know this is going a little fast like I'm on cocaine, but that's not the case.
Cocaine.
This is a purely theoretical course on the NDPS. The practicals are held आपके कॉलेज के पनवाड़ी के पास रोज जब कॉलेज की छुट्टी हो जाती है 4 बजे. From Sushant Singh Rajput smoking a joint and taking a pinch of MDMA to somehow repair the father-son relationship in his head, to Fardeen Khan's cocaine addiction, and then to Aryan Khan's international drug cartel as told by the NCB. Or whether the fact that Ranbir Kapoor cocaine snort कर रहा था और black coffee के साथ पूरा time Rockstar की shooting में मेहरौली में, how high Karan Johar had to be to upload that Instagram story in which every Bollywood star was either drugged up or pretending to be very sleepy.
Can you stop glorifying this? तुम्हें डर नहीं लगता क्या?
भाई
लग गई पकड़ा गया पीते हुए मान भाई लग गई गर्लफ्रेंड ने लिव इन से दिया निकाल सरकारी कानून दुल्लों की मार लॉयर की फी और टैक्स से हलाल करा देना मामला एडजर्न्ड.
So here you will get to know all the reasons about why to not get caught with drugs.
What about why not to consume drugs?
How can I ask someone to do or not do something? Excuse me? Well. Remember there was a time alcohol was banned and bootleggers को चांदनी रात में चांद की रोशनी से अपनी दारू एक जगह से दूसरी जगह लेके जानी पड़ती थी on crates and crates of alcohol every night. And similar suit followed by other drugs when the war on drugs was launched by US. तो क्या हुआ? सारे drugs को ban कर दिया. And similarly the way alcohol was decriminalized and people started consuming it as a part of daily life, drugs like MDMA, LSD, shrooms, cannabis are following the same suit.
But drugs kill you.
But so does stupidity and being a pain in the ass to your boss. But that does beg the question, what are drugs? So drugs are chilling substances that are used by people who are going through a tough time in their life and are not able to find happiness anywhere else. But the concentration of such drugs and the effects it has on your body varies greatly and is very disproportionate when it comes to things that are not drugs. What does this mean? That means कि अगर आप शायद इसका 1 ग्राम 2 ग्राम फालतू ले लोगे, the effect will be multiplied many times. Because these drugs have psychoactive properties, which basically change the way your brain receptors are behaving after you consume them. कुछ zoom in कर देते हैं, कुछ relax कर देते हैं, कुछ rage में लेके आते हैं और कुछ खुश कर देते हैं.
इससे तो दिमाग खराब हो जाता है.
Yes, so people who have consumed drugs in the past and have documented and opened up about it in their probably end of stages of life. Steve Jobs died very poor. Apple क्या घटिया brand है. India's greatest cinematic experience, a movie by the title Om Darbadar, which is taught across film school all across the world, was made by a man alleged to be on LSD all the time. And Wall Street पर सब गधे हैं, उनको तो पता ही नहीं हो क्या कर रहे हैं. क्या अनपढ़ बात करते हो यार. Drugs is not this demonic thing जिससे बस सब खराब हो जाएगा. Drugs also can be classified into these 6 categories broadly. Number 1 being stimulants or uppers or stimulants, और जैसे हम उनको अलग अलग नामों से पहचानते हैं, cocaine, meth, etc. What do these uppers do? Uppers basically आपके brain के receptors की speed बढ़ा देते हैं by mimicking the way neurons behave with each other. What it ends up doing is that you have increased attention, increased focus and a surge in the energy, जिसकी वजह से आप इसके बाद शायद techno music सुनोगे या गाड़ी तेज चलाने की कोशिश करोगे and you will feel like you're in some sort of superhuman stage of your life after that. Examples of uppers are cocaine, meth, caffeine, epiphedrine, MDMA, mephedrone, nicotine. After uppers, the second category is psychedelics. Psychedelics are substances which make you hallucinate. मतलब आपको वो चीज़ दिखने लगेगी जो शायद है नहीं, आपको वो सुनाई देने लगेगा जो आपको अभी बज नहीं रहा है. And in some very interesting trips, you might also see things that are being played, and you might also hear things that you are seeing. इसका मतलब what basically happens is you have a certain neural path in your brain जिसकी वजह से you are able to do what you do. जो आप देख रहे हो वो देख पाते हो. After you consume psychedelics, these neurons end up intercepting with each other and a lot of new neural pathways are formed. आपके दिमाग की जो बनावट है वो बदलने लग जाती है, जिसकी वजह से जो आप देख रहे हो इट गोज टू द पार्ट ऑफ योर ब्रेन जहाँ पे आपको सुनने की शक्ति और सुनने की प्रोसेसिंग पावर है, तो आप उस चीज़ को सुन पाते हो. एंड सिमिलरली जो शायद चीज़ आप सुन रहे हो वो आपके एक पार्ट ऑफ ब्रेन में जाएगी जहाँ पे आपका इमेज प्रोसेसिंग होती है, तो आप उस चीज को देख पाओगे. आई नो ऑल ऑफ दिस साउंड्स वेरी ट्रिपी एंड दैट्स प्रॉब्ली बिकॉज इट इज. Psychedelics is a very interesting class of drug which is now being used in pharmacology and other medicine related fields to deal with stress related diseases, and therefore things like MDMA, LSD, shrooms are being decriminalized all across the world one by one for the sole reason that the amount of effect that a psychedelic drug has on your body is incomparable to anything that a doctor right now is prescribing to you in India. The third class of drugs is a very interesting one again. It's downers. Downers basically क्या करते हैं, आपके जो breathing है उसको slow कर देते हैं. आपके brain को जितना supply of blood मिल रहा होता है उससे थोड़ा सा कम हो जाता है, जिसकी वजह से आप जो process करने का time ले रहे होते हो हर चीज़ को, उसमें time लग जाता है. तो अगर आपको भूख लग रही होगी, आपको 5 मिनट बाद पता चलेगा आपको भूख लग रही है. आपको अगर कोई कॉम्प्लिकेटेड पजल दे दी सॉल्व करने को, आप उसमें खो जाओगे क्योंकि आप उसको सॉल्व नहीं कर पा रहे होगे बिकॉज ऑफ द डिले इन टाइम दैट योर ब्रेन इज टेकिंग एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम टू प्रोसेस वेरी सिंपल थिंग्स. एंड डाउनर्स के बाद आप एक रिलैक्स स्टेट में चले जाओगे. यू वुडंट रियली गिव टू शिट्स अबाउट द वर्ल्ड. यू वुडंट रियली केयर कि आपके आसपास कुछ अच्छा है गंदा है, एंड आप एक चिल आदमी बन जाओगे. एंड दैट्स व्हाट डाउनर्स आर. डाउनर्स में यूजुअली क्या क्लासिफाई होते हैं? ड्रग्स सच एज Xanax, Zolpidem, Valium are classified into downers. And yeah, interestingly Zolpidem की बात करी मैंने. Zolpidem is also a hypnotic in this case. Now what are hypnotics, which brings us to our next category. Hypnotics basically आपको hypnotize कर देते हैं, and in a state of hypnosis what is happening is that you're dissociated to a great degree from what you're feeling at that point of time, because of which you're in a state where you will tell things very easily, you will process things very easily. Nothing seems to be affecting you in an impulsive sense. मतलब उस टाइम आपको कुछ खा रहा होगा तो वो खाना बंद कर देगा, and that's what a hypnotic does to you, which is very much similar to the next category of drugs that I'm talking about, which are dissociative. Dissociatives, like its very name, dissociates you. आपको अलग कर देते हैं from your personality at that point of time. You don't end up feeling things that you are feeling at that point of time. It is commonly known to be used by people who are going through a lot of stress on a day-to-day basis and have struggled, processing things late in the night, such as going to sleep, being in a relaxed state, controlling the hyperactivity of their brain, and therefore dissociatives are administered to them either by injection or by a simple pill every night, and they can control themselves. Doesn't mean that I'm on any of them. And finally, the most interesting, the most prevalent, and the most widely available drugs that are available in India as of right now, just because of the decriminalization status. I mean, कचरा. कचरा is basically आप कुछ भी इन कैटेगरी के ड्रग्स को उठाओगे और उसमें कुछ भी आड़ा तेरा डाल दोगे, such as detergent in cocaine, to shoe polish in hash, to even just raw घास आप अपने गांजे में डाल दोगे और बेचने लग जाओगे. That is what कचरा is. Now, कचरा is used by people to increase the quantity so that they can increase their profit margins on a certain quantity of, let's say, 1 किलो चरस मिला है. 1 किलो चरस में आपका प्रॉफिट 2 लाख रुपए बन रहा था. You will add shoe polish to it. You will add a little bit of rat poison. You will add a little bit of this and that. थोड़ी मिट्टी, थोड़ा कीचड़, and you will have somewhere around 5 to 6 kgs of hash, selling it at the same price. So you have increased your profit margins by 4 times in this case by just adding adulterants and selling your kachra. Now, before I diss the drugs industry in India a lot because of the whatever scenario there is and status quo being status quo, every drug has its effects which can be placed in one or more of these categories. Yes, that means कि एक drug को आप classify कर सकते हो more than one category, which I have said before, depending upon the kind of effects it has on your body and brain. And the drug practices and the culture in India is very much indicative of the fact कि drugs काफ़ी cultures में use करा गया है for a very, very long time. And it speaks to a great degree about what is the history history and what is the culture of that place. Such as अफीम की चाय in राजस्थान. अगर आप राजस्थान में जाओगे और किसी ट्राइबल एरिया में जाके आप बात करोगे तो आपको बहुत इजीली अफीम की चाय मिल जाएगी. एंड ये अफीम की चाय का एक रिचुअल होता है. बंदा आपके सामने एक प्रॉपर अपैरेटस लगाएगा, एक पोटली खोलेगा, पोटली में से अफीम का जो वो फ्लावर है उसको निकालेगा, फिर उसको वो किसी तरीके से प्रोसेस करेगा, आइदर बाय क्रशिंग इट, आइदर बाय मेल्टिंग इट, आइदर बाय डिफ्यूजिंग इट इन सम टी, एंड देन यू विल हैव अ वेरी नाइस इवनिंग. व्हिच मींस दैट वहाँ पे बहुत गर्मी थी पहले एंड लोगों को मेहनत करने के लिए कुछ इंसेंटिव चाहिए होता था इन देयर ब्रेन, एंड दैट इंसेंटिव यूज्ड टू बी जस्ट बाय चेंजिंग देयर बिहेवियर, बाय numbing as to what they were feeling at that point of time while toiling under the sun day and night 365 days a year. The second cultural drug that I'm talking about is Iduki gold. Now I know Iduki gold is not available in India anymore. It's an extinct species of marijuana, and Iduki gold was said to be one of the most cleanest and one of the most potent forms of THC that was widely available out there. In fact, according to rumors, it had a very rare form of THC called THCV, which is only available in one strain in Africa as of today. Well, gladly or sadly, we don't know, but Iduki gold will never be found again. The next cultural drug is Malana cream, the most famous, the best hash in the whole world, selling for a very high steep price over the world, especially in Netherlands, जहाँ पे ये majority export करा जाता है इंडिया से. Now, Malana cream is something that जिसका THC percentage काफ़ी high होता है in comparison to other strains of hash that you will find anywhere in the world for that matter. And it is comprising of a very sativa high, जिसका मतलब आप एक chill zone में चले जाओगे, but it won't be a ठस्सा high जहाँ पे आप खाने में बोर हो जाओगे या आप कुछ करोगे नहीं, but rather it will be a chill state of mind where you would like to read something, where you would like to meditate, just sit by the sea and process what is going on in your head, and that is how Malana cream is considered to be one of the best hashes in the whole world, actually, selling for an upwards of 10,000 to 12,000 rupees for 10 grams of this pure cream, also referred to as super cream या cream and other things. या super cream मतलब जो बहुत ही ज़्यादा refined है. इसमें भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा variances आते हैं. One is called the first rub, मतलब जो पहली बार में rub करके निकाला गया है and उसमें कुछ भी डाला नहीं गया है. That is the super cream first rub, which is the most premium of the premium. Then you have the second rub, the third rub, and on such qualities then you have something that's just Malana cream but not super cream, जिसमें थोड़ा सा मिक्सिंग करा गया होगा या अच्छे से उसको मल के प्रॉपर उसको लाइट चमी बबल गम टाइप का नहीं बनाया गया. Then we have something which has very recently emerged in the markets of Delhi and Bombay, which is the Shillong land race. Now नॉर्थ ईस्ट में ड्रग्स की इन्फोर्समेंट काफ़ी कम है, जिसकी वजह से व्हाट इज़ हैपनिंग इज़ आपको क्लीन अगर गांजा कहीं पे भी इंडिया में अवेलेबल होता है, इट इज़ यूजुअली कमिंग फ्रॉम द नॉर्थ ईस्ट रीजन ऑफ इंडिया, एंड इसका रेट ऑल्दो काफ़ी कम पड़ता है सिंपली बिकॉज ऑफ द फैक्ट दैट इट्स ट्रांसपोर्टेड इन बल्क इन लॉरीज ऑन इंटरस्टेट हाईवेज बाई ट्रक्स, एंड द फैक्ट दैट सिंपल इज दैट गांजा बहुत सस्ती चीज़ है, कहीं पर भी उग सकता है. All it needs is a certain amount of temperature, which should be in the colder bracket of somewhere around 4 degrees to 14 degrees, and you have a very good strain on your hand. Fifth is probably the most interesting and the most widely sought after drug by anybody in India after they have spent 5 years in the industry, 5 years in the psychedelic market. Now, this is Kodaikanal shrooms. Yes, shrooms, mushrooms. Mushroom का एक strain होता है जिसके अंदर एक chemical पाया जाता है psilocybin. जब कोई भी mushroom में psilocybin नाम का strain होता है, it ends up giving you hallucinations when consumed in a certain quantity, usually somewhere around 4 to 5 shrooms, and उसके बाद you can increase the quantity depending upon what kind of a trip you want, and that is how Kodaikanal shrooms are widely sought after by people. हाँ, वहीं पहाड़ों में वो उगते हैं, बारिश के मौसम में आते हैं, कहीं पे भी. सबसे अच्छे जो Kodaikanal shrooms माने जाते हैं वो माने जाते हैं जो गाय के गोबर में या घोड़े के जो गोबर में उगते हैं. Those are considered to be the best forms of shrooms that are available in Kodaikanal as of today. If you go to Kodai, you can probably find something very cheap for even $100, and if you try to buy it anywhere else in India, the prices get jacked up by not just 10 times or 20 times, but you'll find it very hard to find in the first place, and then even if you get it, it's somewhere around 2,500 rupees for a single gram. And lastly of all, the worst kind of drugs that are there in the country right now, guns in UP and Bihar. By guns I mean illicit guns, जो कट्टा होता है, country pistol. Now people have been consuming these drugs for a very long time, and probably any form of strict law has not been able to do away with the practice of people consuming drugs for whatever reason they were consuming it, either for culture, for history, for worship, for chilling, or just to, run away or escape their reality, which is haunting them day and night on a daily basis. And often a lot of consumption of drugs is done chupke because the Indian government did the most logical thing that any and every government in the world did at the time. US was pushing its agenda of war on drugs on every country by UN resolutions and conventions, by trade policies at that point of time. But India ने भी वही किया, ban कर दिया इसे. तुम एक कप चाय बना के लाओ पहले. So I hope there was a lot of interesting information about drugs. What are the different types of drugs? What do they do to you? And yeah, what is India's stance on drugs? Not just in law, but also in culture. There's a module, you should probably check it out. It's prepared by me and my associate Kritika, and you should probably check out all the information about what is the war on drugs. What are the UN conventions, the international laws that dictate whether a certain kind of drug will be criminalized or not, or whether what sort of license practices a country has to follow, if at all they want to use it for medicinal or any other industrial purpose whatsoever. So the drive links will be sent to you on your respective email. Hopefully, like every other PDF that you get in your email, you don't discard it before reading it, because it's going to serve you a very good purpose. Majority of the NDPS lawyers or even professors in the country right now are people who have not done drugs, and that is why they don't understand the psychology as to what even goes behind when they are fighting a drugs case or dealing with a person who's engaged in the practice of consuming, dealing, or doing anything related to drugs. And if that changes, sure, we have a good lawyer on our hands, and that's why you should read it. Ta-da!